YouTube can be insane for driving traffic to your course business and making sales. It's the main traffic source for my course business. If you think about it, people go to YouTube to find answers to their problems with video-based content. So a lot of times those same people would be a good candidate to buy your video-based course, which fulfills on their dream outcome in that area that you are an expert in. Today, we're talking about what's working with YouTube today with my special guest, Marley Jaxx. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome in. Welcome back to the Online Course Show. This is episode 235, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a cool one. This is a special one because you're about to hear from somebody really cool and somebody that's going to share some really valuable information with you all. If you're not familiar with Marley Jaxx, let me introduce you to her. I first came across Marley when I went to the ClickFunnels conference in person about 4.5 years ago. And she gave an amazing presentation about content creation, specifically on YouTube, and just her process for coming up with ideas, filming, and just how to make it all efficient and work and get results from it. And what's really interesting is a few months after that, Marley actually signed up for my piano course. And her last name is Jaxx, right? Jaxx. And so when I was looking at my Bonjoros for the day several years ago, so if you're not familiar with Bonjoro, it's the really simple, awesome tool that I use to welcome all of my new members, new signups into Piano in 21 Days. I do it for my OCG clients as well. And it's just an awesome way to get that ball started on the right foot. Is that the right expression? Ball started on the right foot. I think I probably butchered that, but I think you also know what I mean. So within a day or two of somebody signing up for really anything that I offer, you'll get a personal video from me welcoming you and just telling you how much I look forward to working with you. And if you have a course business, I recommend you do the same. I've done that for, 8 years now, probably. So anyway, I was looking through my Bonjoros. I was like, Marley Jaxx, there's no way it's that Marley Jaxx. Like, she's big time. Like, this is crazy. And it turns out it was Marley Jaxx. She actually had been on my Piano in 21 Days email lessons 2016. So she's one of those that I had relaunched to many times, and it just happened to be that was the time that worked for her. It happened to be COVID. Like, I got a lot of signups during COVID. A lot of people wanting to learn piano, but she had been on my email list. So when I was watching her at the ClickFunnels conference and like all these people are going up to her, taking pictures with her, she was on my email list. Like, she was in my audience, and that just blew me away. And so she started taking my course. She got some amazing results. She started posting things on Facebook. And it was just really, really cool. And 4 years later, I asked her to come on the podcast. I really wish I would have done it sooner, and I don't have much of an excuse for that. But this did not disappoint. This was awesome. Really great getting to know her, and she shares some awesome content for you guys. I guess I haven't really talked much about what she does. I told you a little bit about her presentation, but she's a YouTube expert. She has an agency where she helps people with YouTube. She's got programs where she helps people with YouTube. So that's where your focus today is, on YouTube strategy. She's got this really cool call to action method. So a lot of people will just have their calls to action at the very end of the video. Often I will talk about how we want to make sure that we mix up those call to action a little bit. Sometimes we can tell them to go to our site. Sometimes let's tell them to go to another video. But I really like her method, her call to action method. It's very unique, and I think I'm going to try it out. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it as well. She talked about how to come up with ideas for your content. She talked about just the mindset of being a creator and how, it's very intimidating for a lot of people, and how we can get over that. And one cool thing we talk about is just like being real with your audience. She's had some things in her life that she's had to battle through, and she talked about how important it was for her to be transparent about those things with her audience. And I've done that to an extent as well, and I think that can be really powerful. Not just trying to be a robot, not trying to be somebody you're not as a content creator, and being honest out there and being real. And I think that's really important. So this is a great one, long time coming. Let's get into the full conversation between myself and the one and only Marley Jaxx. What's up, Marley Jaxx? Welcome to the Online Course Show.
So fun. I can't believe that we haven't done this sooner.
Well, I just had to get up the courage to ask, Now, would it be safe and fair to call me like your piano teacher? Like, am I your piano teacher?
You are totally my piano teacher. And I actually remember, this was probably a couple years ago, but I was like, I reached out to you being like, can we do like a piano retreat. Like, I want to hang out with you and teach me piano in person. You are totally my piano teacher.
I need to put the right offer in front of you. But I say that because, when I grew up taking piano lessons from my in-person piano teacher, they would always rag on me for not practicing, for kind of, falling behind. And I'm like, Marley, have you been practicing? Like, how's your progress on piano? Like, catch me up as your piano teacher.
You know what? I need to do a 90-day sprint that is like, go through the curriculum all over again. Maybe I have like a big push goal of a certain song that I want to be able to perform, and I'll report back to you in like 90 days. But it's going to take less than 90 days because your course is piano in 21 days. So maybe it's a 30-day push goal.
We could do it 4 times in 90 days.
Right. I could do so many songs in 90 days.
Well, your progress that you shared several years ago after signing up for my course was amazing. So hopefully you do continue with it. Obviously, we're not here to talk about only your piano progress the whole time. For those that are not familiar with you, who is it that you help and what do you help them do?
I help entrepreneurs scale online through their content. I started on YouTube, and then it grew from there into all the other platforms, how to create content basically that converts into clients.
So ultimately, you're helping people to attract and possibly convert clients through content, but that's not the only way not the only mechanism to do that. Like, why content specifically?
For me, I feel like I created, and I think that a lot of people can probably relate to this. I'm sure you can relate to this, that you created a business out of your hobby, out of something that you were just good at, right? Like for you, was piano the hobby that then you turned into a course that you saw?
Yeah, I mean, I had a few hobbies, but that was one of them. Like I tried a few things before the piano thing worked out. It wasn't my main hobby, but I just like you've gone through at least part of my course. Like, I don't come at you straight away with music theory and sheet music. Like I take a different approach, and I knew I had a different approach to it.
Yeah. So for me, growing up, I loved making videos. Like I would steal my dad's video camera on the weekend and I would make little news reports with my cousins, or I would vlog before I knew what vlogging was. This was before YouTube existed. And for me, creating content was just fun. And what I hear from a lot of entrepreneurs is they feel like content is a grind. And I'm like, well, not if you do it in a way that is synced with your personality and that you feel the momentum from, that it's actually working. Like I think that the burnout comes from just the lack of curiosity or lack of play in making content fun for them. So I created a system that we call it content personality syncing. And then we attach the content to cash flow systems. For most people, this is my dream outcome, is that content doesn't have to feel like it's a grind for people.
You threw out a lot of terms there that I don't know what they really mean. But we're focused primarily on like online courses and certainly memberships and coaching programs on this podcast. And I know you've experienced all those things. You've also gone the agency route as well. But for this audience, I know they struggle with the traffic piece of the equation, right? They can put together the world's greatest course. Yeah. They can even put together a funnel. They can put an offer together. But oftentimes I find the traffic piece is the one they struggle with the most. And so that's why I'm curious about the content perspective from you, because when I talk to people, they're like, well, what are my options for driving traffic? Well, content marketing is one of them. And when you choose that, you've got to pick the right platform for you, and you've got to be consistent with it, right?
Yeah.
And so for that type of person who is building all these pieces and maybe struggling with the content piece, like what are some of your recommendations?
Yeah, because the build it and they will come doesn't actually work. You can have the best content on the planet, the best course ever, but if no one hears about it, then how are they going to be?
You've gone through my course. Like, have you heard me talk about how I launched it? Like, I created it 7 years before you signed up for it.
Really?
Yeah. Have you heard me talk about what happened when I launched it?
I can't remember. And I don't even, now I'm trying to remember how I came across your course and how I bought it. I remember that you emailed me back being like, is this the Marley Jaxx?
Yes.
And I was like, what do you mean? Yes.
Well, so I was thinking about telling the story in the intro, but let's just refresh all of our memories here. So
I want to hear it.
So I heard you speak at the ClickFunnels conference in 2019. Is that the right year?
I spoke, well, I spoke in 2020, but there were other events that I was a smaller part of. Yes.
Okay, I'm thinking pre-COVID, so I'm like, if it's pre-COVID, it had to be before 2020. But you're right, it was February 2020,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Because I was in the pandemic. That was my pandemic hobby.
Yes, exactly. Okay. All right, we're on the same page so far. This story's going great so far. So you were speaking with, Dan Henry and Russell Brunson and like all these amazing people. And I hadn't heard of you before going into that, but after, I really enjoyed your presentation about content marketing, and specifically repurposing content or like batching content, right?
Yeah.
And so I go home, like your presentation definitely stuck out. And a couple months later, one thing I do when people sign up for my piano course is I send them a short personalized video. I use a tool called Bonjoro to do that. And so one day I'm looking through the names and look, COVID was good times for me. Like,
I'm sure
a lot of people were home learning piano, and I'm scrolling through the names. It's like Marley Jaxx. No way it's the same person, right? No way.
How many Marley Jaxx are there?
Right. Well, also, yeah, right. Like, I've never really heard the name Jacques anywhere else, like Jaxx. But what really threw me off, and we don't know each other that well, but like I overanalyze things. And like your email wasn't marleyjaxx@gmail.com, right? Your email address was like Marley and like another name or last name, middle name, something. So I was like, that's probably not her. So before I recorded a video to send to you, I think I sent you an email, and I was just like, hey, are you this Marley Jaxx? And sent a link. And this was 2020. And I had looked up in my email system, ActiveCampaign, and you joined my email list in 2016.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I had no idea.
Yeah. You got on my, and those were the early days. Because the reason I went to the ClickFunnels conference in 2020 was a total ego thing to collect my 2 Comma Club awards. So it took me from 2013 when I got the idea to 2020 to get to that first million. Mm-hmm. So it turned out it was you, and I just I couldn't believe that you were following me, right? Because like I remember seeing you at the conference, and like all these people are coming up to you, taking pictures with you, and I'm like shy introvert, like I'm not gonna do that, but like you were on my email list. It blew me away, and I was so honored.
You never know who's watching from afar. You never know who's being impacted. And then what I also have been so impressed with in just this world of content creation is you also never know who's listening that's going to be an answer that you need when you're looking for something. Like I can post online when I have a question, and even though I'm, most of my content, I'm trying to be the one giving value. It's also reciprocal that you can ask for anything when you have an audience. Like we might go into this conversation later, but when I was going through cancer and I was like, I need help. I'm so inundated with information and emotions. What do I do? It was being able to reach out to my audience that helped me to get through that.
Okay, so since you brought it up, like tell me more about that, like bringing in your audience to that. How did your audience help you with it?
And kind of to take this another direction too, like when I was going through my divorce, when I've had struggles in my business, like it's almost like we all want to have audiences. We all want to build this online community. We always want to be part of something that's bigger than ourselves. And it's so crazy to say, but when I've been vulnerable with my audience about what I'm going through, those are the times that my audience has grown the most and my business has grown the most, even though it feels like a really hard moment of life or a transition, or that I'm being vulnerable and showing that I'm not perfect. But it was actually when I was on stage at Funnel Hacking Live 2020, it was a month after I announced my divorce, and it felt like this big elephant in the room. And so I addressed it at one point during my presentation. I said, I considered not standing up on the stage because I thought, why would anyone listen to me when my life was falling apart? But I realized that helping people doesn't stop just because your life isn't perfect. No one's is. And that's why you have to keep showing up even when it feels hard. And so when I did show up saying like, hey, I'm going through divorce. I just got this terrifying diagnosis. This is happening in my business. People want to help. They're not going to point from the sidelines like, look at that person that's struggling. Like people reached out to me with love and support, suggestions, ideas, books. And of course it can be overwhelming, but it's also in an amazing way. And it makes me think like, if I saw someone, even a stranger that was going through something tough online, wouldn't I want to reach out? Wouldn't I want to be that person? And I think letting people in is what again, shows people that you're not perfect, which means you're relatable.
I don't know that this topic has really come up on this podcast necessarily. I've done this podcast for 7 years, and it's really interesting. I'm so glad you brought it up. Your examples are I mean, they're big examples, like big life-changing stuff that you shared. And it doesn't have to be that extreme, but I'm glad even though it is, like, you were willing to share that. It reminds me of a client of mine about 6 months ago who went through a divorce, and he shared that with his woodworking membership community. And he couldn't believe the outpouring of support that he received from his people. Like, he wasn't going to say anything, but like letting them know was the best thing he could have done. Right.
Yeah.
At much smaller example, nowhere near as impactful as these things that we're talking about. But one thing I do is I send out an email newsletter every Friday. And a couple weeks ago, the email newsletter, we changed gears. It wasn't like a business tip. It was, hey, here's this amazing trip I just went on with my family.
I loved it. I read it.
And it was just, you read it?
Yeah.
Like, the response that I got from that was 10 times bigger and better than any other article I've ever sent out on those weekly newsletters. And what I'm gathering is, like, people want the real you. They don't want this like facade of like, okay, you gotta this compartmentalized Jacques or this compartmentalized Marley who's just all business all the time. Like, they want the real you. I think that's the most impactful version. It sounds like you agree.
Yeah. And sometimes, so I use this app, what's it called? Day One. And it's a great journaling app. And I try to challenge myself every day to write a story in there that happened from my day. And I'll even tell you the one that I wrote this morning. For some reason, a memory popped up of a conversation I had with my mom. And then that led to me telling another story of my mom and another story of my mom and another story of my mom. And then I was like, I'm probably going to post this publicly. Like, the journal entries that are actually me reflecting on my own life, those are kind of the best stuff. And of course, you can be cautious of which stuff is like, that's just for me, and versus the stuff that you're going to share. But everyone has a mother. Everyone can probably relate in some way, whether it is their mother or a mother figure, or the thing that I wrote about was a conversation with my mom where I was scared to tell her about my dream of what I wanted to do in my life. And when she asked where I saw myself in 5 years, I kind of rattled it off really quickly so that I could just outrun my inner critic and just say it all before she had the chance to, question it or be skeptical about it. And when I finally said it, she paused and she looked at me with this like surprised look and then was like, wow, best of luck to you. And that was it. And I was so touched that was her response, because in my mind, I was scared building up this picture that she was going to say, well, you can't do that because of this, and this is too big, and blah, 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 why not this? And she didn't. And that was really touching to me. And maybe I'll share that story publicly, because I don't know, me saying that to you, can you relate to that in any way?
Well, yes, that's amazing. That's really touching. It immediately went to when I told my wife about my idea for Piano in 21 Days.
Yeah.
And it was impactful in a different way, because when I told her, like, we were both working full time as engineers, and I was trying to create something, ever since I read 4 Hour Work Week.
Oh yeah.
And I told her about my idea for a piano course in early 2013, way before courses were so mainstream. And she's like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, like, sounds good. She's like, how much would you charge for something like that? And I said, I don't really know, but like maybe around $300. And she looked at me like I was insane. She goes, who in the hell would pay that for that? Right?
Great story.
Both of us completely ignorant at the time, right?
Yeah.
So my mindset was like, she's incredibly supportive. I don't want to come across that it wasn't like she was just being her real self. But I'm like, all right, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to show you who's going to pay that for that, right? That was my attitude toward it. So similar but different to what you were saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when you get that memory that pops up, that might be something that you comment, or maybe inspires you to create a piece of content or a video or whatever, sharing that. And so it's like, when we say the quiet parts out loud, when you share the reality of what's going on, people are so tired of Instagram filter or AI. Like, when you read posts and you can tell that was just an AI, you're like, oh, that it has the signature AI ChatGPT words in it. People want real, and they can see through fake.
How do you properly weave that in? And if you don't mind, like take my piano education example, like I wouldn't feel comfortable making a YouTube video with some vulnerable story like that, right? I feel like there needs to be some piano education in every video, right? So would you recommend doing that, or would you recommend just like weaving it into the content that I'm doing?
Yeah, you can do both. Sometimes I'm like, it's like chicken or the egg. Sometimes I have a story and I'm like, what's the lesson I'm going to attach this to? Or sometimes I have a lesson and I'm like, what's the story that I can tell the lesson through? Because they kind of have to go hand in hand. Because if you're just like step 1, step 2, step 3, that's the boring Charlie Brown, wah, wah, wah. But, we zone out. So for you with that example, like what you just said before, that's so relatable is when I was growing up, my piano teacher was always nagging and like, did you do your practice? Did you do your, like, I know that feeling. I can feel it in my body right now of my mom, my piano teacher, my grandparents, like, did you practice? Did you practice? Did you practice? And leave me alone. I don't want to be nagged. But then it's like, well, the reason why I created this was because I hate that feeling. Do you remember that? Like, can you feel that feeling right now? You probably even have other things in your life right now that are nagging at you. Playing the piano shouldn't be that feeling. So instead, what I teach you is these chords, Lola. And then it goes into the process that you teach. So you told the story, you give the comparison of the us versus them, and then you go with my solution.
So have you ever thought about doing this for a living? Like advising people on YouTube? This is really good.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I can get on a call with someone and then just be like, here's your next 6 months of content. Did you do a video like this? But then sometimes it's like, I actually have a whiteboard here where, I learned this from a friend that he's like, I have a day every week or a morning every week where I coach myself. I pretend that I am sitting in the chair in front of me and I will coach myself. So I need to do it for myself too.
Okay. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Great.
I started my YouTube channel in 2013. We're currently sitting at 96,000, 96.2, 96.3 thousand subscribers. It has been there.
You're like one video away. You really are.
One video away.
Yeah.
So I haven't posted in a couple of years. I still get quite a bit of business from YouTube. That's pretty much our only traffic source at this point, and it's a very successful business. My point, we were talking earlier about the ego, like awards, 2 Comma Club. I want that 100K subscriber thing that YouTube sends you. I'm so close, but like so far because like I've been in the 90s for years, right? And so I'm ready to push past 100. I actually just published my first YouTube video on the Piano in 20 Days channel. First one in 2 years on Friday.
Great.
Like just the other day. Yes.
Did you know that was it like, because we were talking and you were like, Marley's going to kick my butt if.
No, it was purely like, I want to push past 100,000. Like it's a total ego metric. But like, put your advisory hat on here. Like, what should I do? Like, I want to blow past 100. What should I do?
So what kind of content are you currently creating? Is it just kind of educational, tutorial, step by step, like here's what to do?
Yeah, essentially the number one video of my channel I made 5 or 6 years ago. It's got 3 million views. It's called Learn Piano in 4 Minutes. And I just very quickly, I'm like, here's how you learn the notes. Here's my crazy easy way to do chords. Here's how we can look up chords and play. Like it's super fast paced and quick. It's got a good hook, all that. And so a lot of my videos are some kind of version of that. I feel like I've fallen into just like a one trick pony situation on YouTube where it's just like each video is just a recreation of the same concepts. For example, the one I released on Friday was called Actually Learn Piano in 40 minutes. So it was very long and drawn out, like not super quick, fast paced, like let's take our time through this. That's what I've found. But like giving people quick wins is what I found that works, right? So like when you learned that chords, like a major chord is 4-3, a minor chord is 3-4. Like I didn't see anybody else teaching it that way. And that's the number one thing that I teach that people are like, oh my gosh, I actually understand chords. Like I've got to learn from this guy.
Yep. What are the things that your audience, like I know a lot of course creators would have this, like their list of all the objections or all the pain points, and then basically you could make a series of videos that's like, watch this if you're sick of your piano teacher nagging you to practice. Watch this if you can't remember your hand placements. Watch this if, and like or even like watch this with your, I had this idea for a video series that if anyone's listening that wants to take this, I really want someone to make this. I want to make a video series that's for kids. That's like, watch this with your kid if, and like they're struggling with something. Watch this with your kid if they're, if they don't know how to make friends on the playground. So can you do something like that? That's like, watch this if, and then fill in the blank of the thing that they want, but there might be an obstacle to getting. The other thing is for you showing experiment content. There's those videos that are like, I learned how to play piano in 21 days. What if there was also something where you raise the stakes that it's like, I had to learn how to play this song or else this would happen. I actually had a situation come up recently that I was about to call you. I had an audition for a TV show that they were like, do you know how to play piano? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. And they're like, as in like, we can give you a song and you can play it. And I was like, I'm better by ear. I'm not good at reading music, but yeah, for sure. Whoa, the stakes on that. Like, what if it was like, I got cast in a movie, but I have to learn how to play this song on the piano in less than 7 days. And I'm like documenting myself learning it. The stakes are high because I just told this director that I can do it. And the movie's with Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm totally making this up. But like, if I don't get it, then I'm going to lose this opportunity. And making a vlog of experimenting and showing my progress and the audience seeing the stakes that are raised. And then the conclusion of, did I do it or not?
So what happened? Did you audition?
No.
Okay.
I think they could probably see through my, I don't know. I was like, yeah, I can totally play by ear. Yeah. I just need to know the song. I just need to hear the song a few times.
Okay. So next time that comes up, like, it sounds like you're volunteering for content for my YouTube channel.
Yes, exactly. So. Hollywood actress needs to learn the piano in 7 days like she's Ryan Gosling. Watch me help her do it. That's a long title, but something to that effect.
Okay.
But see, like, there could be cool experiments like that where you're documenting yourself helping someone. Maybe it's an experiment that you're doing. Like, what if you're like, I'm going to teach 100 people how to play this song by Christmas, or else I have to do something that's awful.
Some of these ideas are, it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what do you say to somebody who's like, well, I would do that, but what if I do all this work and it doesn't work?
Sure. And that can happen. And you don't have to do the ones that are like a lot of work. Yeah, definitely the vlog, the documenting, the episodic or the series that it's going to take you a few weeks to film something because you're actually filming it in real time. If that's not an effort that you want to take, then you absolutely don't. You could do the videos that are like talking head, watch this if you are struggling to get your kid to practice piano. I'm sure that there are many parents that would totally want to watch that video and be like, here's the strategies and here's the stories to tell to help them to get through that. And those ones can be easy talking head. But you could also, if there's things that you're just normally doing, you can document yourself doing and then turn that into you can be filming the talking head stuff and documenting kind of longer production stuff that then just gets edited later, especially if you're doing it anyway. Do you know what I do during interviews? I have a camera set up filming behind the scenes of the interview because that might turn into content for my YouTube channel. I'm doing it anyway.
Is it filming right now?
Yes, it is. Say hello.
That's brilliant. I've got other camera angles.
Yeah.
Here. Well, now it's way over there and I can't show you. But you've taken my course, you've seen the camera angles, but like, I'm not recording from this one over here. Probably should be.
You could be.
Okay.
And then after you finish the interview, you talk to the other camera and you're like, wow, that's so cool. I just talked to Marley and she gave me this idea for my YouTube channel. Watch me hit 100,000 subscribers in 30 days. We're going to document the whole thing.
Amazing. Mind blown. Incredible. Okay. So I have some good ideas. As far as YouTube specifically goes, can we talk about how things have kind of changed? Because I've been doing it for so long. And in my opinion is that 10 years ago, the game was keyword research, keyword loading. If somebody's trying to type in learn piano fast, I want to call my video learn piano fast and get it ranking as high as possible. My understanding is that that's not really how it works today. Today, it's all about the thumbnail, the title, the hook, and then audience retention throughout the entire video.
Yes. Yep. That is the game. You're so right. It used to be that you can just title your video how to XYZ and that would rank, it would show up. You could put the right keywords in the right place. And that's been my struggle sometimes with clients, that they'll use these softwares like TubeBuddy and vidIQ, and they'll put the right tags in, and then the software tells them that they have a keyword score of 100%. And they're like, then why isn't my video working? And I'm like, well, because it's not a puzzle. It's, did you actually create a good video? And that your video actually helped people and retained people. And yeah, you nailed it. It's like, it's the title, it's the thumbnail, it's the retention, it's how you're keeping people engaged. Like, think about if you were a stand-up comedian, you don't just have one good joke at the beginning and one good joke at the end, and then like rambling in between that isn't actually entertaining or keeping anyone interested. You have to keep re-engaging them throughout the video that is leading to these like mini payoffs, and then this big grand finale payoff at the end, conclusion. And then the best call to action from one video is actually another video, so that we can orchestrate bingeable content. So yeah, things have changed, and that the biggest focus is hooks, engagement, keeping people watching, and then leading them to the next videos, as if like the videos will have a cliffhanger, or here's the next thing that you need to see, kind of like Netflix. Then it's like, are you still watching? Yeah, because I need to find out what happened to 11 from Stranger Things. And if I stop watching now, this huge open loop.
Marley, I'm getting old. My memory's not as good as it once was. Your talk 4.5 years ago, was it focused on batching or repurposing content?
I think I talked about both.
Okay.
I know that I talked about like how to come up with your titles, how to, which I'll give you guys a great strategy for how to come up with titles, how to batch your content, how to repurpose, how to edit. It was kind of like the assembly line of what to do. And a lot of those things still apply today. I think what I would change is the titles, because definitely back then I was talking about keywords. And yeah, back then I was talking about how to come up with these how-to titles based on what people are searching for. And that's not the thing anymore. Like people, if you go to your YouTube homepage right now, none of the titles are probably how-to, unless you really are searching for like tutorial videos of how to mow the lawn, how to change the oil in your car. Like people probably aren't searching for that. They're searching for stuff to be entertained or to get an answer to their business. Like if you go to YouTube homepage right now, I actually have one pull up for me right now. There's nothing that's like how to. I see a lot of things. I watch a lot of like Hollywood stuff. I watch a lot of vlogs. There's even one from a health channel that I like, that it's titled, "You will try castor oil after watching this." What the before picture of that title probably would be is benefits of castor oil and should you use it, or something. Like that's a pretty cool hook the way that it's worded. So now my strategy, and this is an easy kind of step one strategy that anyone here can use, is go to YouTube and go to some of your favorite channels, and just in like the notes section of your phone or computer, write down all the titles that caught your attention. Let me even pull up some of mine. I have like a ChatGPT list in my computer here. So here's some of the titles that I came across that I was like, oh, I like these. Once I mastered these 3 laws, I made 1.7 in a year, 1.7 million in a year. So I look at that and I'm like, what are the 3 laws? I need to watch that, because now that's the open loop. So we also want to think of, is the title giving us assumptions? Like, oh, I already know what this is going to say. So if you already know what it's going to say, why would you want to watch it? Or is it giving me question marks, open loops? Well, now I have to click on this to find out. What are those 3 laws? There's another one that I liked. I pretended every night until I made $1 million. This is a manifesting money YouTube channel. The alternative to that one could have been money mindset strategies, or how to master your money mindset. Okay, so make a list of titles that you like. And then what I like to do is I'll go to ChatGPT and be like, here's a list of YouTube titles I like. Can you help me write ones just like this style, for blank, for how to play piano? And then watch it go like that. You could have, once I mastered these 3 strategies, I learned how to play piano in 24 hours.
That's a good one too. Okay. Continuing my notes.
How I tricked my brain to become a professional piano player. To play piano like a professional.
Normally I save like calls to action for the end and stuff, but like if somebody's like taking notes too, like do you have a program or something people could go and buy and where all this stuff is in there?
Yeah, if you go to profitwithvideo.com, I have a 31-day game plan. It's like an ebook, which every day gives you what to do for 31 days to make your video strategy. And then on the thank you page of that is an offer for a $7 trial to our membership. Our membership is $97 a month. I give people strategies like this every month.
Amazing. Okay. That was Profit with Video?
Yep. Profitwithvideo.com.
With video.com. And it's a 31-day challenge. Didn't it used to be 21 days?
So this one this is a 31-day game plan. It's a workbook. So you work through it on your own. I love doing challenges. Yeah, I used to have a 21-day challenge, and I haven't done it in a couple of years, but maybe I'll do it again because that was always one of our favorite, like fan favorite kind of challenges we did. Do you ever do challenges?
It's a great number. 21's a great number 21? To learn something.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Where are we? Where are we even now? So speaking of calls to action, I want to talk about calls to action on YouTube.
Most
and that's when I was talking about like the changes. That's something I failed to bring up because when I was getting started, all the advice was call to action to something on your website, ideally a lead magnet at the end of every video. Is that still the recommendation?
No, but it's what most people do. So everyone who's hearing this, you're in the right place because you're going to do it this way that I'm going to show you, and you're going to be doing it better than 99% of people. That was a really great hook, the way that I just said that. You guys should do it.
I'm dialed in. I'm ready.
Okay. So a lot of people wait till the end of the video, but the problem with that is unless you're really entertaining and there aren't other examples of cat videos or distractions that are showing up next to your video, most people don't stay all the way through to the very end. And even if they do stay through to the very end, a lot of people, as soon as they know you're wrapping up, they're like, okay, I got it, I'm out. Even when you're doing the like recap kind of piece, they're gone. So what we want to do instead is put your call to action in the middle of the video when the retention is still really high, like when you're still in the high point of drama, like we would say in movies. But the way that we want to do it isn't like a commercial break because people pay extra to skip commercials. The way that we want to do it is make it a by the way, a segue. So for example, I have a client, Christy Code Red. She's a weight loss coach. And we made a video with her when she was in the grocery store talking about what kinds of foods to get at the grocery store when you're in weight loss mode. And so she's like going down the aisle with her little grocery cart. She's like, by the way, next time you go to the grocery store, instead of having to write all these down, you can just print out my list. I've left it in the description for you. Okay, now here's why we don't eat cheese. It was just a by the way, and it made sense with what she was talking about. By the way, just print mine off next time you go to the grocery store. Instead of like, now next time you go, you don't need to worry about it. Like she wasn't a dancing monkey trying to like convince you why you need to go get it. It was a very simple, by the way, I went the extra mile for you, just click it and then continue on in the video. Then at the end of your video, instead of it being a commercial break call to action, you then lead to another video. So in that one, weight loss grocery store, she could be like, hey, then you need to check out my next video where I give you my best recipe for blah, blah, blah. That's going to help you lose 10 pounds in a month, blah, blah, blah. And then it links to the next video. And then the next video, you're like, now that you got this, the next thing you need is this. Because one of the best metrics that YouTube or really any algorithm looks for is how much content your audience is watching. Like the metric is called average view per viewer. Are they coming and watching one video and they never see you again? Or are they watching 5 videos in a row because you made it bingeable? And that when they keep coming back to YouTube, they keep coming back to your channel. YouTube and any other platform really sees that you keep people on their platform, and think about their incentive. They want people to be on the platform so they can keep running ads to them. And if you're someone that gets people to the platform and keeps them on it, they're going to boost you to be in front of more people.
So every video we upload to YouTube have a call to action to our own stuff somewhere in the middle, and have a call to action to another one of our YouTube videos at the end. You do that every time.
Yep. And if it makes sense to be in the middle as well, like if I happen to be talking about something, I can be like, by the way, I have another video about that on my channel. I'll link it below and then just keep going. If it makes sense, you can totally have a link to the video in the middle as well.
Yeah. So as a general guideline, but we can work around that when appropriate. Some people would say only have one call to action in each video. Yeah. So we don't like confuse people. And like when we ask them to do two things, they're less likely to do it. Let's just ask them to do one thing. So they would say some videos make call to action to your website. Some videos make the call to action to go to another video.
Yeah. What
are the pros to your approach versus that?
I totally hear that. I think that my caution would be if you're throwing out two calls to action at the same time. If you're like, hey, go to this video, but then also go to my website. Because you're in the middle of the video and you still have these hooks, these open loops that you haven't closed, they're probably like, if they're going to go to that link, people can open it on another tab and still keep watching your video. And then at the end of the video, because we're teaching you how to create these hooks that are going to bring them to the next video that they need, they can still go to that next video, but still have the tab open to be able to get the lead magnet. And especially if they're going to binge watch this content, they're more likely to opt in for that thing. It's totally a test. Like just because it works for some people, it might not work for others. Like maybe your audience is confused and you need to test and you're like, actually, I get more conversions when I just lead to other videos. And we do have some clients that we just have like each video lead to the next, but it's like a video funnel that we want them to watch 4 videos. And the 5th one is the one that has the call to action. So it's all a test. But for me personally, I like to have the lead magnet in the middle and the next video at the end.
That's not something I've tried. I could see that working for other platforms too, like a podcast or something. Mm-hmm. Now, jumping back, you mentioned an analytics statistics. I'm actually trying to dive in and find that for mine right now because I'm curious. What was it where it's like how many videos does each person watch?
Average view per viewer, AVPV.
Do you know where that is?
Let's see. If I go into YouTube.
This is great podcast content. Let's dive into the analytics and find where this is.
Field trip to YouTube. So analytics.
Curious to see what mine is with both of my channels because I often wonder, like, if you have a video and your call to action is to your site, it's like, oh, this is working great. And then like sales conversions are really high, but like, what if your average customer is like watching 10 videos on YouTube before they actually come into your funnel?
Yeah. When you go into your analytics and if you go to, so when you see on the top, I can't share my screen, but like the channel analytics and you see like the overview, content, audience, when you click on see more, it'll bring up another graph that shows even more videos there. And so it's somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So before we lose too many people, I'm going to keep moving on. So we've covered YouTube strategy. That's great. You are obviously a big believer in content marketing. Do you recommend other content marketing platforms? Are you like, nope, YouTube is the top dog. Let's be there.
No, I love all the platforms. And we have clients that come to us that are like, I don't want to be on video. And we're like, great, don't be on video. Here's a strategy for Twitter. Or here's faceless content strategies that you can use for even on video platforms that don't require you to be on camera. Maybe we have B-roll, voice, maybe we have images and text. Like I love Instagram. The platform that I spend the most time on my own devices is Instagram. I like Reels. I like stories. I also like creating Reels. And the great thing about short form content is I can just I could post the same Reel on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube Shorts. And then the long form content that I'm making on YouTube, I can repurpose that into short form for the other platforms. So I feel like it just creates this whole ecosystem. So when I'm creating content, I'm just focusing on my long form content and my short form content and how they kind of hold hands with each other, how they integrate.
So you personally, are you on all the platforms?
Yeah. I would say Twitter, I haven't focused on as much. I think Twitter is an amazing platform. We have an incredible strategy for Twitter, but for me, I don't have the system for myself I don't want to outsource my content. So I just know that when I have the capacity to write my own content for Twitter, that's when I'll be on it. But yeah, everything that I'm creating is long form and short form video that I repurpose across the other platforms.
Next up, I wrote down some quotes, if you will, from content that I've seen from you, and some of them are like quotes from other people. But I'd like to read a couple of them because they really stuck out to me, and I want to hear more from you about what these mean to you and your perspective about them. I was going to say this segment is called, but it's not a real segment. I've never done this before.
Name it right now on the spot.
Yes. Quotes with Marley. So the first one is, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
Well, that's not a me quote.
What does that mean?
That is, I think that's James Clear that said that, who wrote Atomic Habits.
But I've heard you say it. So like that's what this segment is all about.
Great.
You said it.
It's not a quiz of like who did it actually come from.
Right.
It's such a good quote because you can have the biggest dreams in the world, but if you don't actually have the systems to get there, I mean, you're just a dreamer. How are you actually going to get there? Like a reverse engineering the system that actually moves the needle. So if I say that if you say that you want to have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, but you don't have the system to like, well, what's the content I'm going to create? How am I going to release it? What frequency or quantity, what quality of upload schedule am I going to have? Then we're not actually going to reach that goal, and we're just going to be talking instead of doing. So anything that I create, I actually heard another quote from Elon Musk, and I don't remember exactly how he worded it, but it was something of like, when they created Tesla, they were obsessed with creating the best cars. And then at some point, it shifted to being obsessed with creating the best machines that created the best cars. So when I first started my YouTube channel, it was like, I was all over the place with, I have an idea and I'll just film this thing, but I didn't have a strategy or a system for scripting or what I was going to say. And I was kind of just rambling. And then I would edit it myself. But because it was a ramble, the edit was really tough because it was like, I said this thing over here and over this thing over here, and like try to put it together and then uploading it and then making a thumbnail. And it could take me like days to make one video. Well, now I have a system that I can film a month of my content in a day and still have the creative freedom day by day to be like, here's an idea. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to put it in my Asana board, my system, so that my next filming day, I'm prepared and I can actually create more with less effort.
You're crushing this segment because like you brought up another amazing quote that I didn't even ask for, like the Elon one about like at first it was about making the best cars, but then it was about making the best machines that make the best cars. Like that is beautiful because it works so well with what we do as content creators, course creators, things like that. Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm just thinking, but like the one I've initially brought up, I've got written on my board over here because I liked it so much. The rest are just paper, right? If it's on a board, it's like really powerful, right?
I have a whiteboard over there, and what's on the whiteboard is like law.
Yeah, but like I'm a big goal setter, right? I have big goals, but that's not good enough. The goal in itself is not good enough, and so I love the second part. You fall to the level of your systems. So I can see that in myself, but also my clients too. They have big, lofty goals to create an online, not just an online course, but online course business and make money and this and that. But if we don't have the right systems in place, then we're never going to get there. We're going to fall to the level of our systems. Incredible.
Yep.
You ready for the next one?
I love it. Yes, please.
If you don't have the business that you want, it's because you haven't become the person who can run it.
Oh, so good. An Alex Sharfin quote. I think about that a lot. If you don't have what you want, you're the common denominator. What do you need to change about that? Is it a belief in yourself of how much you believe in your ability to have what you say you want? Is it what you are doing? Are you doing the right things that's going to get that outcome? Yeah, I think about that a lot. What are the skills you need to, who's the identity of the person you need to be to do the behaviors or the skills, the habits to have what you want to have?
On that note, from your experience, like what are some of the top reasons that people fail with content?
I think they want the outcome more than they want the path. They want the 100,000 subscribers, but they don't want the effort of making the videos.
It goes back to the first quote, right? They make the goal, but they don't have the systems to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I set the goal as well of getting to 100,000 subscribers, I thought, well, what do I need to be able to achieve that? Or what's the common denominator of the people that do have that? And I actually found the stat that like only 1% of YouTube channels actually get to 100,000 subscribers, which then brought me to the quote, if you want to have what the 1% have, you have to do what the 99% are not willing to do. So what are the 99% doing? They're quitting. They're not following through. They don't have systems. They're fitting in. Fitting in is failing. They're playing it safe. Playing it safe is risky. And so then I also had that mindset when I was creating my content of, is this 1% content? Is this content that no one else could make? Or am I just following the crowd? Because if I want to create content that's different, that is going to stand out, then I have to do it differently. Like you're 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers away from 100,000. That could be one video. I have a friend that his daughter is making content, and she made one reel that went viral and got her 10,000 subscribers last week. Like, you never know which video could take off, and also that a previous video could take off. My channel last year, so January 2023, we were at 40,000 subscribers. September 2023, 9 months later, we hit 100,000. And that was after like 6 years of just slow growth to 40. And then hockey stick. And in that time, I only posted 2 videos. And they were very 1% videos. I posted 2 documentary videos that took me like 4 months each to make. But at the same time, the viewership on the channel was also coming from a video that I made in 2019 that took off out of nowhere and hit like 2 million views in a short amount of time because it just spiked in the algorithm. And that's where a lot of that 100,000 subscribers came from. So it's like the content that you made in the past, that's also like, imagine it like attention real estate. It's real estate you own on the internet instead of rent, comparing that to like Facebook ads you have to keep putting the money into to keep showing up. The content that you made years ago is still an asset that could pick up for you at any time.
So as somebody that has fairly recently gotten past the 100,000 mark, like, am I hyping it up too much? Was it cool?
It was so cool. And like what I would recommend is camping out next to the computer with your kids, because this is going to be such a cool experience for your kids to observe as well. And there's this screen where you can actually see the ticker move one at a time. So we watched from like 90,980 and we just sat all around the computer and watched it one at a time. And we filmed the moment of like, oh, we hit 100,000. It was really fun. It'll be a really cool experience for you.
But so that sounds really cool. But like, what did it mean for you? What does 100,000 subscribers actually mean for you?
It's a rare feat. You know, not everyone does that. And it I think reflects commitment. I've made almost 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel, and a lot of them suck. Mr. Beast, who now has over 300 million subscribers, when he, after he made 100 videos, he only had 760 subscribers. Do you think that most entrepreneurs would have given up before they even made 100 videos?
Absolutely, yes.
Especially because a lot of people are looking for these like quick wins, instant gratification. I put $1 in, get $2 out. And so the commitment that it takes to make 100 videos, and even if you say like just get 1% better every time, I mean, after 100 videos, he only had 760 subscribers. Now he has 300 million, but he only got to 300 million because of the commitment and the mindset of, you'll hear him say this on interviews all the time, I just want to make the best videos possible. That's his outcome. That's his motivation. And sure, of course, the lofty goals of like, I want to reach, I mean, he in his early videos was like, I hope that one day I get to 100,000. And now he's at 300 million. Like, I don't know if he thought that he was ever going to get to that, but look at the mindset switch of like, I want this status goal versus I want to love the craft and who I become along the way and the outcome that it creates for other people that are inspired by it as well. I have clients that have small YouTube channels that are like 1,000 subscribers. And they'll even tell me that some of their friends and family will say to them, like, are you so pissed that you spend so much time and money on your YouTube channel? You've invested so much money and you only have 1,000 subscribers? And they're like, you haven't seen my bank account. Like, I have a small, very niche YouTube channel that drives traffic to me every single day for free while other people are spending money on ads. I have people that show up to sales calls that are like enrollment calls because they binge watched all this content. Before they get on the call, they already know that they want to buy from me. So the subscriber numbers can be exciting, but it's also look at the outcome that it's creating. And then more importantly, like enjoying the path. You won't keep creating content if you don't enjoy it. So hopefully people can find a way to enjoy it, and that I can help them with my content as well to find those strategies to enjoy it.
That is excellent advice. The statistics from Mr. Beast was his first 100 videos, he had how many subscribers?
760.
760. And now he's the most subscribed to person on the planet, probably across all platforms.
There are bigger channels than him, but when it comes to like mainstream and entertainment stuff, like he's one of the biggest, 300 million.
He's top 5, top 10. The point remains, right? Yeah. And so like, it makes me think of one of my clients. I'm going to give a shout out to Dottie, who she helps senior citizens learn to do what's called chair tap dance. So it's tap dancing, but in a chair, in order to give them a hobby, but also studies have shown that it can improve memory and, reduce cognitive decline as you age, things like that. So she chose her content platform a few months ago of Instagram and putting out these chair tap videos. And she would constantly be like, Jacques, I'm putting all this work in, I'm putting the content out. It's not working. She would get a few hundred views on each video. She just had a few hundred followers. And eventually she had a hit, and it brought up her entire page. I know we're not talking about YouTube here, we're talking about Instagram. Yeah. But about 6-8 weeks ago, something like that, she's like, Jacques, I'm going viral. And I'm looking at that video now. It's that one video's got 6 million views on it.
Oh my God.
She's got 15,000 followers. But like, I'm looking back and like, I used to scroll through her page and every video had like 200 views, 400 views. Now it's rare you see one that has like less than 5,000, including those older videos that didn't have many views, because it just kind of has brought up her whole, I guess not channel. What do you call Instagram? Just a page, a profile. So yeah, you got to stick with it. And to your point about Mr. Beast, I think most people probably would have given up before that 100th video at only 700 something subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is there a point where you draw the line and say, this isn't for me?
I think it depends on the reason why you're doing it, because let's compare it to something else in life. Do you quit at the gym if you don't get a 6-pack, or do you change your strategy if that's what you really want? Do you find some other kind of intrinsic motivation, or do you find something else that's more fulfilling and a better path for you? Maybe someone's trying so hard on YouTube and they're like, actually, my jam is podcasts. And they crush it on a podcast. And then they can also repurpose that podcast for YouTube. Definitely, like YouTube is growing so much as a podcast platform. Maybe it's finding like we said earlier, we have a strategy called content personality syncing. What's the right content to match your personality? If you're not a video person, let's try a faceless strategy, So yeah, I think it just depends on what people really want and being honest about what they really want.
As far as ultimately making money from this, from our efforts on content marketing, this is called the Online Course Show. Obviously, we talk about more than just courses here. But from what I can tell, you're doing a lot of things. You have a lot of offers out there. In your opinion, online courses, memberships, coaching programs, one-on-one coaching, even agency, like what do you like best?
I like being able to work one-on-one with clients, because I feel like that way I can get really deep into their business, their strategies, help them to create content that really reaches an audience. And especially if it's something that I care about, that they care about, like anyone that's passionate, like I want to get passionate with them and be part of that journey with them and in what they're creating. But I also I have a low ticket membership, and it's so fun to have a community of people that there was a guy in there the other day that just posted of like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to think exactly the way that Marley said I would about content. Like I watch a movie and I'm dissecting, oh, there's the hook. There's what they said. They planted the seed for that. There's the call to action. And so it's really fun to see. I just love seeing people's transformation. So I like working one-on-one, but I also like big group programs as well.
I think this is probably where we'll call it. I'm sure we could talk about this stuff for quite a while, but I want to thank you for being so generous with your time and your information and wisdom to share with people. This has been outstanding. We did the roughly halfway point call to action for you without even realizing it. That's one of your strategies. So I will give you a chance one more time here. I know that was profitwithvideo.com. Anywhere else people should head if they want to learn more from you?
Yeah. Reach out on Instagram, on YouTube. I respond to all my own DMs. So if anyone wants to reach out, Instagram.com/Marley Jaxx, or check out some of my videos on YouTube. Look up Marley Jaxx there as well. Hopefully they provide a lot of value to you, and then you'll see the calls to action if there's anything else you want to check out there too.
Amazing. Thank you, Marley. Been a pleasure. And that's going to do it for another episode here at the Online Course Show. You can find the show notes for this one at oc.show/235. Thank you again to you guys listening out there, as well as thank you to Marley for sharing the information and joining me. It was really a pleasure to meet with her in this context, which we hadn't done before. And look, some of you out there listening to this are regular listeners of the podcast, but you're not on my email list, and that's a problem. You are missing out on my Friday emails called Jacques Journal. It's one actionable tip, at least one, to your inbox every Friday morning. It's completely free. And yeah, you're totally missing out if you're not on the email list. But we can change that right now. Head to oc.show/tips, TIPS, oc.show/tips. Drop in your email address and you'll start getting those every Friday. There's no catch. Send that every Friday. It's valuable information for course creators. It's another content platform that you can consume and learn from. You obviously listen to this podcast. We put out those articles for you every Friday, totally free. So set it. You're missing out if you're not getting them. Obviously, I'm very biased, but the response has been awesome. So once again, that's oc.show/tips. Check it out if you're not there already. Thank you again for listening. I appreciate you so much. And don't forget to take action on what you've heard today. I'm rooting for you.